Do you have a movie that you loved as a child, but didn't fully come to appreciate or understand until you were older? For me, one such film is Pooh's Grand Adventure, The Search for Christopher Robin. My grandparents had this movie on VHS and it was a staple at many weekend visits. As a kid, it was a fun, if kind of scary, adventure with Winnie the Pooh. As an adult, it's still a fun adventure, but you also realize that, oh, this is an allegory for grief. Not even in an edgy Teletubbyland is purgatory way or whatever. It's actually a very well done way to explore loss for kids. The movie opens with a rather melancholy statement that it's the last day of a golden summer, setting the general mood for the next 75 minutes. The autumnal atmosphere here is great. It sets that sort of whimsical but with an underlying sadness vibe that things like Over the Garden Wall have, and I love that kind of mood, probably thanks in part to this movie. Christopher Robin shows up to break some bad news to Pooh, but Pooh doesn't want to hear it and says it can wait forever and ever. This leads into the film's first song, which is about the fleeting nature of time. From Pooh's perspective as an ageless teddy bear, things will be as they are forever. Christopher Robin, however, is starting to grow up and realizing that's not how things work. They go back and forth for a while, with Pooh continuing to miss Christopher Robin's point and eventually distracting him enough to forget his bad news until the end of the day. At dusk, the pair climb a tree and talk briefly of my favorite activity, doing nothing. Then Christopher Robin remembers his bad news and sort of tells Pooh in this roundabout way that he won't physically be around forever. Pooh dismisses this, saying of course they'll always be together, because who else would provide him with advice and courage? Christopher Robin then gives Pooh his iconic wisdom.
You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think.
Pooh is a sleepy bear, though, and doesn't fully grasp it. A new day dawns with an abrupt seasonal shift to autumn. Pooh leaps out his front door into a pile of leaves and lands on an obscured honey pot. His good-naturedness and gluttony conflict as he wants to eat it, but isn't sure if it belongs to someone else. He figures Christopher Robin will know, but to Pooh's dismay, the boy is nowhere to be found.
Are you there? Are you anywhere?
Pooh goes to see if Piglet knows where Christopher Robin is, and finds him conquering his fear of heights atop his treehouse. Naturally, a branch breaks and Piglet is faced with mortal peril. Luckily, Tigger shows up to offer Piglet words of comfort.
There's no difference between plunging 10,000 feet to the jagged rocks below and tumbling out of bed. Except for the splat at the end, they're practically similar.
Tigger then flexes his bouncing skills to rescue Piglet, but finds his tail's power coming up short. He does manage to break Piglet's fall, however, and when they crash to the ground, a tidal wave of acorns sweeps him all the way through Rabbit's garden, as he's rebuking a carrot for not listening to what his farmer's almanac says. Rabbit tags along for the ride, and they eventually stop outside Eeyore's house. It's here that the gang discovers the note which has been attached to the pot this whole time. Pooh, being a bear of very little brain, can't read, and since it's covered in honey, Rabbit can't make it out either.
No, but...
They take it to Owl, who is able to decipher it through the honey. He claims it says Christopher Robin is far away and in danger. Amid the general despair this brings about, Piglet jumps at the chance to replace Christopher Robin in Pooh's heart.
I wonder, Pooh, if perhaps until Christopher Robin gets back, I might possibly be your best friend?
Suddenly, Owl makes another discovery.
He has gone to S-C-H-O-O-L, Skull.
Pooh says they have to get him back, which prompts Owl to draw up a map based on his own imagination and the others' fears. This leads to Owl singing an incredible song about how cool adventure is, while lamenting the fact that he simply cannot come along with them to their inevitable demises. Random aside, one of the first ever videos on this channel was, of all things, a RuneScape music video of this song. Fun kit fact. I'd also like to mention here that Kanga and Roo are on vacation or something, so they don't make an appearance in this movie, which is a crime. Well, this was probably done because if Kanga was here, she'd be like, "It says school, dumbasses. They'll be back soon," and the rest of the movie wouldn't happen. Gopher is also absent, but this ain't about him. Anyway, Owl cheerfully ushers off the gang on their quest, on which he clearly expects them all to perish. He's probably looking forward to some peace and quiet in the wood.
I salute you, and those of you doomed to never return, I salute you twice.
The grand adventure gets underway, and the gang make tracks over the river and through the woods to the Upside Down Rock, where Owl's map says monsters are. They hear growling coming from nearby, and Tigger says it's probably the Skullosaurus, inducing a panic.
Skullosaurus?
Once everyone calms down a bit though, Rabbit assumes leadership, and they flee into a bramble of thorns, marked on the map as the nice peaceful spot. Another growl sends Piglet dashing off out of the thorns and into an open meadow. Looks like the real nice peaceful spot, right? Wrong. Terror abounds as Piglet is abducted by a swarm of presumably bloodthirsty butterflies. Luckily, they must enjoy toying with their prey and refrain from stripping the flesh from Piglet's tiny bones long enough for Pooh to rescue him. Piglet and Pooh then share a tender moment where Pooh says Piglet is braver than something or other. He can't remember. The next stop in their journey is the Forbidden Mountains of the far north. Here, the narrator calls Rabbit out for not realizing Owl's map is nonsense, and when Pooh tries to go a different way to find Christopher Robin, Rabbit breaks into song extolling the map's accuracy. His song continues, claiming that the only thing you should ever trust is the written word. If someone else wrote it, then it is indisputable fact. Eyes? Useless. Ears? Don't need 'em. Common sense? Never heard of her. Rabbit would not do well in this day and age.
Never trust that thing between your ears. Brains will get you nowhere fast, my dears. Haven't had a need for mine in years. On the pages where the truth appears.
Although in fairness to Rabbit, he's one of probably only 3 residents of the 100-acre wood that can read and or write to some degree. The others being Owl, who has convinced everyone he's smart, and Kanga, who actually is. So it would make sense that he values and trusts the ability so highly. The map rips in half on a tree branch, and Tigger goes after the part that blew away. Once again, he cannot bounce high enough to grab it, but the force of his bouncing cracks the log over a gorge he was on, and it falls partway down the chasm. Tigger's increasing lack of confidence in his tail's strength prompts Pooh to try and impart more of Christopher Robin's wisdom, but alas, he can't quite remember. Pooh then falls off the cliff while trying to reach down to Tigger, and the group ends up in one of these things. Is there a term for this? Anyway, Eeyore lets go to answer a question, and they all fall to their untimely dooms. Nah, they're fine. Most of them are stuffed animals, remember. Night falls as the gang wander through some thick fog. Rabbit has a small breakdown, claiming that he's not smart enough to help them any further. Pooh tells Rabbit that Christopher Robin told him to remember something in situations like these. He just doesn't know what it was. They collectively reach a point of despair and decide to wait out the fog in a cave. Eeyore, as usual, is relatable.
End of the road. Nothing to do. And no hope of things getting better. Sounds like Saturday night at my house.
While the others try to get some sleep, Pooh steps outside to sing a poignant lament about how Christopher Robin is gone. It's here that the allegory for loss and death the movie presents really starts to hit home. Seeing Winnie the Pooh of all characters experience the pain of grief to that degree is heavy stuff. We as the viewer know Christopher Robin is alive, and Pooh's only out here due to a misunderstanding, but we can still relate to his emotion over the fear that Christopher Robin is gone for good.
I don't know what else to do, except to try to dream of you, and wonder if you're dreaming too, wherever you are.
Piglet wakes up and discovers that the cave they took a nap in is actually Skull itself. They are spurred deeper inside by a growl and are met with a 5-way fork. They each take a different path, and everyone besides Tigger ends up falling into, off of, or down something. Before Pooh's descent, though, they all end up in the same room, just with Pooh behind a wall of crystal. His distorted image in the wall, and another growl, frighten the others away, believing Pooh to have been devoured by the Skullosaurus. Pooh tries to follow, but falls down a slide, which lodges him in another outcrop of crystals. The others find themselves at the edge of another chasm, on the far side of which lies the Eye of the Skull. Rabbit, having been failed by the map, uses his own smarts to work out a plan to reach the eye. It would require strength from Tigger and bravery from Piglet, but in light of Pooh's supposed recent demise, they find it in themselves to try, for him. Seeing his friend's efforts, Pooh dislodges himself from the crystal, but falls into an even deeper pit, literally and metaphorically. Pooh talks to the Christopher Robin in his heart, and subconsciously remembers Christopher Robin's wisdom. He hears Christopher Robin's voice echo in his mind, saying that they'll always be together. Pooh realizes that Christopher Robin was with him all along, and always is, even when they're apart, and finds peace. The rest of the gang reach the Eye of the Skull, and lo and behold, they find Christopher Robin there. He says he was out looking for them as well, and I suppose Owl might have told him where they'd gone? The movie never really explains it. But they all share what they learned and how they've grown throughout this adventure, except Eeyore, who was still depressed as all hell. Christopher Robin explains that he was in fact at school the whole time. Piglet pulls out the honey-covered note from somewhere, and Christopher Robin shows how Owl only read half of it. Christopher Robin asks where Pooh is, and reveals that the growling of the Skullosaurus stalking the group had been Pooh's stomach all along. Christopher Robin lowers a giant honey pot into Pooh's pit to fish the bear out. The two are reunited and they all head home. In the light of day and out from the veil of fear, they see that all their trials and tribulations were nothing to be afraid of. The final song plays as they make their way back, and everything is alright once again. Pooh and Christopher Robin return to their climbing tree, where Christopher Robin tells Pooh all about school and how he had thought of his friends in the 100 Acre Wood as a source of comfort. He does need to go back the next day, and instead of coming to find him, he has Pooh promise to stay with and be there for him, forever and ever. Pooh's Grand Adventure, The Search for Christopher Robin, is still a great watch for all ages. And like any good kids movie, it explores themes and topics that children might be experiencing or have questions about in a respectful way, while still being entertaining for the whole family. If you happen to see it while perusing your local library, definitely give it a watch for yourself if you've never seen it. I hope you enjoyed my review, plot summary, video of some nebulous description on Pooh's Grand Adventure. I guess I've started down the pipeline of a gaming channel to a movie review channel, but we'll see if I ever reach food reviews. I have a few other movies in mind to make videos on, but I don't know how much work this one will end up being yet, so no current time frame for those being made. I mainly focus on Let's Plays, so if you like things like Pokemon, Fire Emblem, and Littletail Bronx, be sure to stick around. Anyway, that's all from me. I do not know how to end things, so I'll just say thanks for watching again, and see you later.